Hello, welcome back. I hope my levels are good. या तो मैं थोड़ा कम करता हूँ. Yeah, I'm trying to find कि last time मैं कहाँ रुका था. I have ginger trying. I thought of the mountains and अरे यार. Songs. Where am I? Where were we? About 10 morning, I don't know, they were heard on the song, they're flying down in soulful low, 9 a.m. I had a vague hope. Deep in hell, there was nothing. I did wonder. Thank you, I said. ये तो हो गया था आई थिंक. वेट, लेट मी जस्ट, मैं इतना स्ट्रगल क्यों कर रहा हूँ. लेट मी जस्ट गो टू प्रीवियस लाइव एंड look into it. Hmm. Okay, ये it took me weeks. The clomping thing was the last. अब इसमें मैं सर्च कर सकता हूँ क्या? Okay. The clomping of my feet. Yes. Okay. Yes. So that this was the last paragraph we read. All right. Okay. Now, yes, I'll start and like, yeah. Okay. Now I think we'll start. Okay, the clomping of my feet, climbing up the steps reminded me of poverty of sensation we endured here. But on I climbed, dreaming of meeting a man or a woman from India who knew some songs I could repeat. Uh, I could not repeat repeatad. What? What is this word? Nauseum. The ring of my feet striking the steps was becoming the summation of this of a sameness from which there was no escape. Nevertheless, I climbed on and on and on. I think. Wait, font थोड़ा बढ़ा सकते हैं हम लोग. Where is that clomping again? भाई ये हमेशा गुम बार बार क्यों गुम जा रहा है? Okay, so we are reading this book called A Short Story in Hell. So abhi we are like towards the end of the book. And yeah, we are reading it together basically. So I read it and then Gayatri just listen to me and then we discuss the story and then a lot often I mispronounce a word because because I'm from anyway, I don't want to joke on that. But yeah, so yeah, this is what we are doing here. Yes, yes. Hello. Chalo. Now, okay, the clumping. It took me 4 weeks, but at last I ran into someone. I entered the floor exhausted. I exhausted, wobbled to the kiosk and asked for a glass of Gatorade. The drink was ice cold, and I downed it with relish. I noticed a man sitting in the middle of the stacks, just looking down into the endless emptiness of the gulf. Um, Hello, I said. He looked up, and I was shocked by the hollow sorrow on his face. His eyes were red and swollen, as if he had been crying for days. But now there was a coldness, a lostness more like in his stricken, forsaken eyes that frightened me. He said nothing, but after looking at me blankly, he turned away and continued staring vacantly into the gulf. Oh wait, I know what's missing. I forgot to play Loaf in the background. Yes. This will set the mood. The story is like very dark and hell kind of thing, going on. And the music, it's setting the mood. Like abhi honeymoon hone wala hai. Anyway. Okay. They're in hell, yeah. Okay. I decided to leave him and retire to the sleeping room, took a shower, and went to bed. The nights were not due off for an hour or so, but climbing all days was exhausting work. In the morning, the man was still there. I ate a bowl of Cap'n Crunch and some toast, trying once again to engage the man in conversation. But he remained silent. I started up again. On about every fifth story up, I left the stairwell and picked into the stacks, hoping I would run into more people about 10 that morning. I ran into a group of people. They were huddled in a small gathering, crying and talking low, sorrowful tones, as if a great tragedy had occurred. Ida his name. Ida his name. Matlab? As I approached, I greeted them cautiously. One girl burst into tears. Everyone was mourning like I had. Everyone was mourning like I had never seen before in hell. In a place where there's no real death, I had seen pain, anger, hatred, viciousness. Acha, you don't remember his name? I forgot. I don't know. What's his name? Are Rohan bhai, if you're still here, so this is a story about. It's a very abstract story. We still don't know what's happened, like uh, how it is related with real life and all. So this guy is dead and he's in hell now. It's a very abstract hell, which is like a library. Have you heard about Library of Babel? It's a library where everything is written. The chat is slow. I laughed at your joke. ओके सो या अभी तो ये चीज तो बहुत बाद में पड़ेगा राइट सो ही इज लाइक सो उनको सो ही so the library is filled with books which are which are written in a way that everything is there in this library. Everything is written, like past, future, everything, every piece of writing that could be written is there in this library. And what they have to do, the people who have fallen into hell, they have to kind of find a book where uh, they can find a book which contains their like life story, their previous life story. So yeah, that's their target. Like they have to find a book uh, which is all filled with jumbled random letters, and then उसमें उसका एक story ढूंढना है, उनकी life story. So yeah, worst explanation ever, but you get the idea. It's a really interesting book. In a place where there is no real death, I had seen pain, anger, hatred, viciousness. Okay. Okay, wait. Sorry. We'll chat on this later. Yes, bye. Yes, bye. All possible books. अच्छा मैं देख नहीं रहा था. I thought you guys must be like behind, थोड़ा सा पीछे. Live नहीं हो गए इसमें. All possible books. Yeah. चलो. Bye Rohan, and we can continue by 3 now. Okay. Frustration, commonly love, joy, contentment, excitement, sorrow over lost love, and a host of other emotions, but not this. Hello, Gayatri. But not this kind of mourning. Such a striking combination of loss and unalloyed. What is this? Search with Google, okay. Unmixed, unadulterated, pure. Okay, got it. I want coffee ice cream. Okay. Coffee ice cream was good. अब किसी ने तो try किया था अभी recently. I forgot who, but yeah, it was good. I think Rohan or Rishabh. हमने ही try किया था. Anyway, what's wrong was all I could say. One of the men turned on me. His features a mask of grief. Oh, you tried it. I didn't know. I forgot. Mask of grief. Then you haven't heard. I gave a short version of my fall and landing in this part of the library. You have come a long way, was his only comment. I made some remark about my surprise and that I had not hit the bottom yet. One of the women and two of the men burst into tears. Arey, you're obviously my friend. I just forgot which friend tried coffee. Kyunki, anyway. You've come along. Okay, one of the women and two of the men burst into tears. I looked at the man who was speaking and asked as delicately as I could. What happened? He stared at me as if I had just arrived off a boat in a foreign land. Master Took finished his calculations. Master. Oh, this is the name. I thought Took means Liya. ऐसा मैं सोचा ये कौन सी English है? Again, a round of tears broke out among the gathered group. He turned to me and said, "Maybe you should go see him yourself, and I can't talk about it anymore." His voice cracked as he spoke, but he managed to add, "He's about 17 floors up. He'll tell you what's going on." There was a stony silence as I backed away and started climbing again. It took me a few minutes to dash up the 17 floors. I walked into the hall and was stunned by the sorrow. People were weeping, some seemed almost uh, catatonic. Catatonic. Immobile, okay, unresponsive. Staring into nothing, their faces a frozen rictus empty of expression. I saw a man and asked where I could find Mr. Took. He waved me down the hall, third flat down. Who curious? Me? Catatonic was... this sometimes doesn't work. I saw a man, okay, he waved me down the hall, third flat down. He said stiffly, I made my way through the group of sorrowing souls. Yeah. Mr. Took was sitting on his bed, his bed clutched in his hands. Mr. Took, I asked. Mr. Took? I asked. He looked up. He didn't answer it at first, so I asked again. What? He said coldly. I explained I was new to the flow and was from about 30,000 miles up. He shook his head and asked sarcastically, So there are still only white, English-speaking Americans even up that high. I should have known. What do you want? He seemed distant. I hesitated. I was just wondering about the sorrow. He laughed at me and threw pages torn from a book at me. The margins were cluttered with charcoal equations, scratched out using a sharpened bone and something burnt from the kiosk. Look at these. It will answer your questions. Look at them and weep because they are going to tell you exactly what it means to be in this hell. Look. I was frightened for a minute that he was going to get violent and backed away. But he just sat down on the bed and put his head in his hands. I picked up the paper and stared blankly at the calculations, but I could not make heads or tails of this. How long did you work on this? I asked after his breathing had returned to normal. He lifted his head and looked at me. What? You have been doing this a long time. I had an estimate in just a few minutes, but the exact answer has taken me a while. I do not want to believe my guess. What are they, if you don't mind me asking? He let out a sigh. I calculated the number of books in the library. He stopped and looked at the papers he had thrown at me. How many are there? How many are there? I asked. Is there a finite number? This was one of the most discussed questions in hell. Our university, despite some people trained in calculus, had were versed in probability theory. Had he really calculated the number of books, which was generally believed to be finite but very large? I could feel my excitement growing. How many? I asked with a little more tension in my voice, realizing the implications of what I was asking. 95 raised to 1,312,000 power. That's a lot, right? That's not a lot. It's okay. It's countable numbers. Come on. You don't understand. In our old universe, there were only 10 raised to 78 electrons. My God. You mean there are more books in this library than there were electrons in our whole previous universe? Way more. Then he added with an evil, way more. Then he added with an evil, mischievous look. In fact, I have calculated the dimensions of the library. You say you were You're from 30,000 miles up. Did you wonder when you hit the bottom? I nodded slowly. He laughed bitterly. Well, if you were somewhere near the middle of hell, you only have 10 to the 1,297,377th light years to go. I'll never forget his cold laugh. You have over a million more orders of magnitude light years to fall than there were electrons in our old universe. I fell back. Rachel! I cried out. I'll never get to the bottom. The man shook his head in disgust. Oh, you'll reach the bottom. He laughed bitterly, just not for a very long time. A very, very long time. The deepest abyss. I wondered for many years after that. I was paralyzed. I knew finally that Rachel and I would never meet again. But I hoped for 100 years I would happen upon her one day. I played it out over and over in my mind. I would one day walk up to a kiosk and there she would be ordering the hummus falafel she was so fond of. Hummus, how to pronounce this? How to pronounce this? A thick paste. Okay. She was so fond of. She would see me and jump up and throw her arms around me. I would never let go. Sometimes in my mind I found her sitting on the floor of the library, pulling books off the sleeves and looking at them. Other times I pictured her falling past me. Hmm. Hummus, falafel. Anyway, book off the shelf and look at them. I found her sitting on the floor of the library, pulling books off the sleeves, off the shelves. Sleeves क्यों पढ़ रहा हूँ मैं उसको? Off the shelves and looking at them. Other times I pictured her falling past me, shouting out my name. I would leap over the railing and plunging like Superman. Catch her at last. We would embrace and never let go. We would never let go until we hit the bottom a zillion years later. But these were not to be. I've never found her. I know she dwells somewhere in this vast library. Like the book of my life, she exists somewhere. She exists somewhere. Right now she is somewhere, probably alone like me, and somewhere she's undoubtedly pulling book after book off a shelf, scanning it and tossing it aside. Probably like me keeps a book or two at her side. Perhaps one contains a novel she has found, or a long and intricate poem. Maybe she has found her story and has left this hell. No, like me through the eons. She has covered only a drop in the ocean of books that await our perusal. New word. Perusal. पता नहीं. It seems odd to me now that इसका मतलब ही नहीं पता मुझे. Look up. The action of reading or examining something. Perusal. Peruse. Okay. अच्छा यहाँ पे pronunciation लिखा रहता है. Perusal. Anyway, it seems odd to me now that after so long, I still focus on a time so brief as to be but a fraction of an instant in the time I will be here. But so powerfully has that instant rooted into me that I hold on to it with a hopeless desperation. Ages of universes pass while I look at books of nonsense. Yet I think on and on of a love so far in the past it is incomprehensible incomprehensible to believe it was even real. What is love? That it has such power. Whatever it is, it seems unlikely this God who placed me here knows anything about it. If it loved me in the least, could it inflict what it has upon me? Who can understand? Once I feared to say such things, dreading a worse punishment. But what worse fate could there be? To remember love and know it is unattainable. To know love wanders somewhere light years and light years distant. Even knowing it is forever out to reach, forever hidden. So I pick up another book, open it, see a page of random characters, toss it over the edge, pick up another, repeat, 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 repeat. On and on the dots signify. On and on I go, light year after light year, eon after eon. I wandered for hundreds of years, climbing, descending, climbing. I made some friends, took some lovers, fought a few people, protected others. I'm glad to say I never ran into another group like the evil one that took Rachel from me. Yet I was never the same. My lovers did not run as deep as rarely lasted over a year or two. So one morning I jumped. There was nothing more to do but find the bottom and start the search for my story in earnest. I would have to fall an eternity of light years, so I ordered a lamb shank from the kiosk, fashioned a bone knife, and tied it on my arm with a strip of cloth torn from my robe, and jumped. For eons I fell. Every morning I awoke, plunged the knife into my neck, and awoke the next morning only to do the same again over and over every day. Sometimes I would stay awake for an hour or so, but then boredom would set in and I would use the bone knife again. Then came centuries of agonizing thought. I knew I had not even fallen a light year yet. I had Googles and Googles of light years to go. There's a despair that goes deeper than existence. It runs to the marrow of consciousness, to the seat of the soul. Could I keep living like this forever? How could I continue existing in its hell? Yet there was no choice. Existence goes on and on here. Finite does not mean much if you can't tell any practical difference between it and infinite. Infinite. Every morning the despair gripped me, a cold despair that reached inside, creating a catatonic numbness. There was a vague feeling of falling, of getting hungry and having a thirst beyond reason, but it seemed distant, far away. And for the first time since my arrival, I lost awareness of the passing of my days, of how long still have no memory. The forgettableness of this hell was suspended, and in this numbing madness, I plummeted downward. What is this word? Okay. How many eons passed, I cannot guess, but coming out of his numbness was slow. I was more like a vegetable than a person. With my consciousness, only a shadow of self awareness, with only a dim sense of, again, another word, qualia, the internal and subjective component of sense perceptions penetrated my mental haze. I ceased to think, to perceive. I was no more aware of my existence than a snail or even an amoeba might be. Finally, slowly, I gained a measure of lucidity and decided to end my fall. It took me 32 attempts, but finally, I woke up in familiar halls of the library, instinctively, this word, instinctively, still hoping for some luck. I pulled one of the books off the shelf. A splash of nonsense, of course. I turned my attention to the kiosk. I ordered potatoes and ice cream. Fairly pedestrian fare, but I was hungry. I'm skipping details now. There's little more. Bhai, there's so much details in this book. Why? Now there's little more of interest to tell, but for the next 144 years, I wandered the stacks. I knew at some point I would begin the fall again, but for a long time I wanted to find something. I don't know. I did find this. Catches tree as windy dots. Oh, kuch mila. It was early in the morning when I saw someone fall past me. I was lonely, so lonely, of course. This Far down in the library, I had met no one. So when I saw the body fall past me, I leaped over railing immediately. She was not hard to catch. She was tumbling dead, and I was rocketing down like a bullet, arms held close at my side in a headfirst dive. When after the short chase, I had her dead body in my arms. I wept like a baby. She was so beautiful, like an angel. All day I stroked her hair and hugged her and wept with her dead in my arms. She was missing one arm and one leg. She must have been trying to get back on the stacks. She had a bone knife tied to her waist. Of course, how many design solutions were there to escape time demons in space? I used it to cut strips of cloth from my smock and bound her to me. I secured her remaining leg to mine, then bound her torso to my waist. I hoped this would keep us from twisting away from each other when the hour before dawn stole our consciousness. I even prayed, I think. In the morning, we awoke at the same time. She stared at me only for only a second before throwing her arms around me and I holding on tight. I held on and wept with her. Hugging is so good. She pulled her head back and looked at me. Are you real? She asked in wonder. No, I'm Salman Khan. I could not answer. I just cried and held her closer. She responded in kind. She tried again. I had given up. I could only nod. Then I squeaked out a feeble and me too. There was no question what we meant. Her name was Want. Little else mattered. We did not exchange stories. We just clung to each other as only the lonely and lost damned can understand. We planned our entering the stacks very carefully. We did not want to lose each other, so we fell for several days, working out a plan to stay together. We discovered that by holding hands like a couple of crabs locked in combat, we could begin to rotate. By pulling and pushing, we could engineer a spin turning like a maple seed pod. By escalating the rotating rhythm, like when you try to rise higher and higher in child's playground swing by pumping your legs, we were able to spin faster and faster. She had a good deal of trouble entering the stacks from a free fall, as she tended not to have the mass needed to crash hard enough into the side and wrap an appendage over the railing. She had succeeded only twice in evening coming close to breaking her, and she had last been killed when I बोलने जाना था मैं. Killed when I found her on her third try. I thought of Rachel. How many times had she tried? The plan was to spin fast enough that when I go, she would have enough horizontal momentum to shoot over the railing and into the stacks before she crashed. If she failed, I would catch her and tie us together and we'd try again the next day. When she finally succeeded, I would try to crash as quickly as possible race her to meet her. It might take me a year to climb back up to you, I said. I'll wait 100 years if I have to, she said, smiling mischievously and kissed me hard on the mouth. We made love twice. Before making our attempt, we had both fallen so often and so long that we were like creatures of the air, and it seemed as natural as in a bed. For a long day, did they have sex in air? Fun. For a day, I glimpsed what heaven must be like. We started spinning, ready to make our attempt at the stacks. I'd never gone so fast in my life. The library was spinning around me so quickly. He said, what? While falling, before making our attempt, we had. While falling, I did not get that part. कि वो लोग गिरते वक्त. My God. I wonder which position would be possible while falling. None. That legs, वो वाला position. I don't know what that called. Okay. Okay. कौन से लाइन में यहाँ पे कहाँ मेंशन्ड है कि वो गिरते वक्त हो रहा था? लाइक वी मेड बिफोर मेकिंग अटेम्प्ट, मतलब अच्छा अटेम्प्ट, ओके ओके, दिस सेज कि हवे में हो रहा था। खैर खैर, लीव इट. The library was spinning around me so quickly I thought I could not hold on any longer, but we did, and we continued to pump our arms back and forth, and generating more and more angular momentum. I'm not sure whether I released her or she was torn from my grasp by the centripetal force, but we flew apart. Have me. Have me. क्या? Anyway, I think you'll explain it later. Generating more and more angular. I'm not sure whether I released her or she was torn from my grasp by centripetal force, but we flew apart. It worked too well. She flew away from me like a bullet. I hit the railing with such force and I nearly lost consciousness. Heaven, 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 heaven में. हवा, हवा, oh हवा, okay. मैं सोचा क्या लिख रही है. Okay, got it. Sorry. I hit the railing with such force. I nearly lost consciousness, but luckily only broke my hip and back. To my delight, as I slid away from the railing into another free fall, I saw she had made onto the stacks. First try. She was not killed either, and she managed a smile from the floor of the hall as I slipped into unconsciousness. I woke the next morning and immediately tried crashing into the side. It was foolish to hurry and not to prepare better, and I only managed to lose an arm and consciousness. The next day, I thought through my pain and The next day, I thought through my plan more carefully before executing it. I almost made it back into the stacks on the first try. Am I not very loud? I think I should be a little louder. Yup. First try, but lost a bit of balance on my approach. And when I fell away, when I fell away, could not hook my legs over the railing. I wasn't killed. So I tried again a little later in the afternoon, but was in so much pain from the morning's attempt. It was hopeless. I was getting anxious by this point. I figured I was falling about 3,000 miles a day, 62,000 flights of stairs, and every day I wasted, I was adding more 3 months of climbing. The next day, I was highly motivated and gave it all I had. I careened. Careened. Rush. Feet first into the stacks. Yeah, too much detail. Okay. My legs caught on the bar and tore from their sockets, but it slowed me enough to be able to backflip, so I could hook my arms on the next floor's railing and hold on. With a Herculean effort of will, I pulled my remaining torso over the rail. Oh, by the way, are you just listening to me, or you're on the YouTube video also reading with me? Like, what are you doing? Are you like doing stuff in the background while listening to me? How is it going for how is it working out for you? I'm coming, warned, I said, beaming brightly as I died. The next day I barreled up the stairs. I flew. Oh wow. I hope it is like smooth enough for you. I hope my pronunciation is not disturbing you. Well, it's not that bad. I'm aware of that, but कुछ words I'm fucking up. So I hope that's not disturbing you. And it's like तुझे समझ आ रहा होगा कि मैं क्या बोलना चाह रहा हूँ. I bound up 2 steps at a time. I was relentless. After the first month, even though I knew I had not climbed nearly high enough, I shouted her name on every floor. Yes. Oh, मैं बस बहुत overthink करता हूँ. Even though I knew I had not climbed nearly high enough, I shouted her name on every floor. My every thought was of finding her. Yeah, if I also read in my head ना, तो मैं बस like मैं इस speed से पढ़ूंगा. Like you'll have to see my cursor. मतलब मैं so yeah, I get it. But ठीक है, ऐसा out loud read करने में बहुत मजा आ रहा है. Until I passed out in strange hour before dawn, when sleep can't be helped, and all things are repaired and made right and new in hell. The days passed in a dream. I pictured our reunion again and again, played it out in my mind over and over until I'd almost worn a groove in my thoughts. Betty, Rachel, and this want no. Yes, also. Yep. Groove in my thoughts so deep that it seemed the only things I could think of was our reunion. A reunion, and anticipation is a gift. Perhaps there's none greater. Anticipation is born of hope. Indeed, it is hope's finest expression. In hope's loss, however, it's the greatest despair. I never found her. Yes, like, but these are the partners, who are like, मतलब अच्छे से mention किया है book में. I never found her. I don't know what happened. I searched everywhere she could have been. I called her name relentlessly, but she was gone. I never found her. I continued down after a score of millennia of wandering, opening an occasional book, but mostly looking for her. Of Vaughn, I found no trace. Now I wonder if our meeting was real. Perhaps it was a dream. Maybe my memory of getting her. अब ये पूरी ड्रीम के बारे में डिटेल करेगा अगले 2 पैराग्राफ में. Of her getting into stacks of an illusion, and she plunged light years below me. She's gone. That at least is clear. All hope is gone. Also, all hope for anything has vanished. Meeting a person, finding a book, discovering some hidden way out. So much time has passed. What is left to say? All variety is lost, and billions of years spent reaching through books has left me a poor conversationalist. I could tell you of my fall to the bottom, the starving, and down. You are a conversationalist. For sure. I could tell you of my fall to the bottom, the starving and down, dying over and over in endless cycles of pain and forgetfulness. I could tell you of starting my search in earnest from the bottom floor, of moving slowly up the light years of stairs, of opening books beyond count. I could tell you of occasionally every eon meeting a person with whom I might stay for a billion years. But what of it? After a billion years, there's nothing left to say, and you wander apart, uncaring in the end. In the end. Wait a sec, okay? Okay. I could tell you of occasionally every eon meeting a person with whom I might stay for a billion years. But what of it? After a billion years, there's nothing left to say, and you wander apart, and caring in the end. The hope for human relationships no longer carries any depth or weight for me, and all meaning has faded long ago into an endless gray nothingness. Now the search is all that matters. I know there will come a time when I find my book, but it is far in the future, and I know without doubt that it will not be today. Yet a strange hope remains, a hope that somehow, something, God, the demon, Ahura Mazda, I don't know. Is it a, कहाँ का word है ये? Someone will see I'm trying, I'm really trying, and that will be enough. Wow. Book is done. Yes, it's over. I kind of wanted to see what happens in the end. And like, it was very well, it was an experience. I mean, the way it was written, I could feel each and everything happening to him. And I felt for Rachel. uh I felt their relationship. I felt missing, like I could I was also missing her, kind of. And but then, yeah, I think it was a very vague and very abstract book. I needed more ground to it. It was very on like हवे में चल रहा था सब, an imaginary world, but then it was never I never felt connected uh, to the real world, or last में क्या होता है and all that. But still, talking about it, I also thought, if I think about it, बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी भी थी, the things he was missing, the human relationship. It talked a lot of human relationships, I think. इसका ये it's a good book. Like इसके it's a good world. And then इसके ऊपर एक मूवी बन सकती है, I think. I think I would rate it. The idea on it is crazy out there. Yeah. Let's go on that website, I think. How much do I rate this book? I want to rate it 3, but I really like the descriptions, so I'll rate it 4. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. But you had read, na? So but you had forgotten it completely, और तूने कभी पहले खत्म नहीं किया था? I used to think कि ये book में ना, you know, when you were reading it, was reading first. Oh, okay, got it. I used to think कि इस लाइब्रेरी में ये भी लिखा होगा कि how to make a time machine, how to time travel. कहीं ना कहीं लिखा होगा. Can you think of how to be a good? इसमें सब है. क्या नहीं भेजा तूने? वो वो वाला मुझे। How is it even possible, यार? Really? See, this is also there. I think there's something's wrong. See, सारे writings यहाँ बीच में क्यों है? How is it even possible? Yeah. हाँ, but this also has. I was gonna write something, but then I thought I should not write that. ये वो तो नहीं है ना? अच्छा हाँ, I remember. Most of them are gonna be like this. Random. चलो ठीक है, गायत्री. I think let's sleep. We'll end the stream. Yes, images का भी बन सकता है यार, because images और at the end yeah, वो सब भी तो. नेक्स्ट बुक बोलना, कौन सा पढ़ना है? I'm okay with anything really. See, let me have a look. मतलब मैं पहले प्राइवेटली देखता हूँ. मेरे पास कोई ऐसी वैसी बुक तो नहीं है पढ़ी है, मतलब नहीं पढ़ी रहती. I don't read for that, but still. Yeah. Hunger Games. अच्छी है. But I don't know. I kind of. Are you open to reading? Just for example, my brother had recommended me this book. It's this. Just Kids, Patty Smith. But ठीक है, नहीं ये let's not read this. मतलब ऐसा कुछ तेरे लायक नहीं है इसमें. It's very. A pathless path. Someday is today. Yes. It's about two people randomly come. किसी तो सिटी में आ जाते हैं with no money and all, and then it's their story how they grow themselves as an artist. मेरे लायक. अरे मेरे लायक से मीन. अरे it's about, I don't know, it's about artist and living, so it won't make sense to you, I think. मतलब क्या ही करेगी तो पढ़ के उसको. मतलब it's their journey, you know, so that's why I said that. Sorry if I it sounded rude or anything. Beyond. Oh yeah, this book is also good. It is Beyond Wealth, a roadmap to a rich life. So this is like written by it's a story about a guy who has earned enough in his life, but still isn't happy or something. So he's finding new ways to live life. He thought the day he'll have money, he'll be happy, but then he's not happy. So he wrote this book, Beyond Wealth. उसका मैंने 57th पेज पे था मैं. It's a very pretty book long. This book was also good. मैंने जितना पढ़ा था मुझे मजा आ रहा था. We have this as well. थोड़ा देख लेना थोड़ा सा YouTube पे कैसा है मतलब, and then if you like it, we can read this one. Someday is today. The Creative Act. Okay, yes. And then what else? We also have अरे यार ये है अपने पास इस बुक का नाम Leviathan Wakes. मैंने इसका एक दो एपिसोड देखा है, मतलब इसकी एक सीरीज भी आई है विच इज नॉट दैट फेमस, और वो कहीं पे स्ट्रीम भी नहीं कर सकते आज के टाइम पे, वो मतलब उसको डिसकंटिन्यू ही कर दिया है. बट इट्स अ वेरी गुड बुक. मतलब जॉर्ज आर मार्टिन ने भी इसके ऊपर रिव्यू किया है, तो ही लाइक्स इट, यू नो. जॉर्ज आर मार्टिन इज अ राइटर ऑफ गेम ऑफ थ्रोन्स. इट्स अ गुड बुक. यस, इट्स अ थोड़ा लंबा बुक तो है वैसे. ओह माय गॉड, 2000 पेजेस बुक. बट हम लोग ने 2 दिन में शॉर्ट स्टे इन हेल खत्म कर दिया. मतलब लोग तो ऐसा एक दिन में खत्म कर सकते, जहाँ तक मैंने देखा. Still. चलो. Let's see. है सब है. मेरी लाइफ सही है. अगर हम लोग इसको imagine trying to find a book without the search function. Exactly. I was thinking if we could connect it with ChatGPT maybe, or AI, any kind of AI, then we could. Then हम लोग क्या नहीं कर सकते इसके साथ. मतलब it will have answers to all your worries, all your problems and everything. Like maybe it will have the recipe for, I don't know, some dish which is not even invented. It will have the way to make time machines. Or the book they say is supposed to be only your story. I'm pretty sure they say that. The book must have only your life ka story, no extra characters. Wow. Imagine you found that book and then there's one extra comma at the end, and you submit it. It's like a perfect representation of your of real life, or like of the real you, of the actual you in your past lives. But then because of that extra comma, it is not getting submitted. So now you have to spend another billion years to find the book now. द वे द बुक वॉज गोइंग ना, मुझे लग रहा था ये लोग इसको मेटाफोरिकली कुछ तो बोलेंगे कि देयर हेल लाइफ इज देयर न्यू लाइफ, एंड नाउ बिकॉज दिस इज व्हाट ह्यूमंस से, राइट, कि जो करंटली जो लाइफ जी रहे, क्या जिंदगी है, काश लॉट ऑफ पीपल like I know you might not be in one of those people, but if you see a lot of people, mostly you know what I'm talking about. They don't like their life, and they kind of wanna take their life, and then they wanna go in another life, देखना है कि क्या होता है यहाँ पे. So I thought it is like it will become metaphorical कि उन लोग की ये जो hell life है उन्होंने उसमें जीना सीख लिया, and they kind of wanna go out of it धीरे धीरे करके, और at the end वो शायद इससे used to हो जाएंगे, एंड देन वो सब आर्क आएगा, वो एक कैरेक्टर आर्क, बट देन वो कुछ आया नहीं. तो हाँ, डिसअपॉइंट तो हुआ लगा थोड़ा सा मैं, बट ठीक है. आर्टिस्टिक चीज़ें आर्टिस्टिक चीज़ें से एक्सपेक्टेशंस नहीं रखनी चाहिए, बिकॉज ज़रूरी नहीं वो तुम्हें वो दे जो तुम ढूंढ रहे हो, वो उसका he wanted to make a book जो which only talks about the details and the feeling of being in it, not it doesn't want to talk about the actual process, and he doesn't want to give an ending to it. Yep. चलो ठीक है. I think we'll leave now. Good night. Bye bye. If you have anything to say. I also open the website. I don't know, try doing the browser thing in OpenG. Acha, browse thing. Browse. There is only to have Hey, let's try to find one word which makes sense. ये एक पेज के बाद काम क्यों नहीं कर रहा? अच्छा, ऐसे तो फिर बहुत टाइम लगेगा. लीव इट. चलो. या एग्जैक्टली. एक सेंसिबल वर्ड मिला. Does this make sense? Silgua. नहीं. यहाँ पे है वी हैव EIPC. अगर ये बस P और I शफल्ड रहता ना तो एपिक हो जाता. वर्ड प्ले एपिक हो जाता. एपिक भी हो जाता और एपिक भी हो जाता. यस. ऐसे नहीं, सर्च तो मिल ही जाएगा. नहीं, जैप. जैप मतलब कुछ होता है क्या? Oh, as an offensive. ठीक है, कुछ तो वर्ड मिला. क्या हुआ? क्या हुआ? अच्छा, आई थिंक यू आर थोड़ा पीछे इन द लाइफ. Hey, these could be passwords. Oh, you found Jack. Oh God. I think you can come live. मतलब hit live, so we can be together. In the live. I was thinking like we can secret chat with this, find a text, like random कुछ ऐसा सीक्रेट भेजना हो, जैसे कुछ भी, या जैसे मैंने आलू के पराठे फ्रिज में छुपा के रखे, तो सबसे नीचे वाले काउंटर नीचे वाले उसमें, ठीक है. और फिर ये सेंटेंस उसमें तो ऑब्वियसली रहेगा लिखा हुआ कि आलू के पराठे फ्रिज में नीचे वाले उसमें रखे हैं, ऐसा करके सर्च इट एंड देन यू फाइंड ट्रैक द लोकेशन ऑफ इट एंड देन वो लोकेशन भेज दे जिसको भी भेजना है तुझे, तो फिर वो इस बुक में जाएगा, उस लोकेशन पे जाएगा और वो मैसेज रीड करेगा. हम बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं इसमें. ये पासवर्ड बन सकता है, ये लिया कॉपी किया, आपका एक वेबसाइट का पासवर्ड हो गया ये से. कोई माई का लाल इसको नहीं तोड़ पाएगा. और सब ये ले लो, ये डॉट वॉट के साथ ये ले लो, ये हो गया. ये क्या लिखा है? वो बुक को भी नहीं पता है। इसको लो ऐसा, ये पेस्ट किया है, ये बन गया पासवर्ड एक वेबसाइट का। और क्या क्या कर सकते हैं इसमें? यार बट आई एम वेरी, पता नहीं किसी ने अभी तक किया क्यों नहीं यार। ये लिटरली ये हम लोग एआई से कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं ना, एंड देन इट विल हैव ऑल द आंसर्स टू ऑल योर क्वेश्चंस। I think I'm seeing a future in my head. I think I know what's gonna happen because this has everything. So, but then also it is kind of impossible to train because उसे एक limited chunk के ऊपर, because it is said that library of this library it's still being, you know, it's still work in process. अभी भी pages generate हो रहे हैं, तो it won't ever be possible to train at all. Okay, it won't ever be possible to train because अभी भी जनरेट हो रहा है और कभी जनरेट नहीं होगा, जनरेट होते रहेगा होते रहेगा होते रहेगा होते रहेगा। तो फिर एक लिमिटेड चंक में उसको ट्रेन करना पड़ेगा डेटा को, एंड देन बट फिर जरूरी नहीं है कि वो लिमिटेड चंक में सारा आंसर होगा। तो यार इट इज ऑल्सो नॉट पॉसिबल, आई थिंक पॉसिबल एंड नॉट पॉसिबल। एनीवे वी शुड स्लीप। चलो ठीक है, बाय गायत्री, गुड नाइट, मजा आया। एंडिंग लाइव स्ट्रीम नाउ। यस, देखते हैं देखते हैं।